All right, so we all know that Florida passed a law where you cannot require someone to provide proof of their vaccination status. Check. We know cruises are going to sail out of Florida and they can't ask for it. Check. So that has caused the cruise lines to come up with protocols for both vaccinated and unvaccinated. But has that basically created a two-class system while on board the cruise ship? Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. Alright, so two classes on board a cruise ship is kind of what it's starting to look like here a little bit. So when Florida passed the law, it says businesses cannot require proof of vaccination in order to provide any services. This did include the cruise lines. Now they have asked for exemptions, they have looked for a way around this, and the way that they have finally landed on where they can still sail from Florida is they cannot ask you for your vaccine status, but you can volunteer it to them. And this particular way around it has basically created a two-class system on board the cruise ship, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, each with their own set of protocols. So the Celebrity Edge is scheduled to sail tomorrow, and let's take a quick look at its ship protocols for this sailing and see if we can notice the differences between the two classes. All right, this is for Florida sailings from the United States for the Edge and the Equinox. While a vaccine is recommended, they are trying to get to 95% or plus vaccinated guests. All right, so to get on the ship, the vaccinated have no testing requirement. Unvaccinated children, 2 to 15, only need a rapid PCR test at embarkation. But the unvaccinated that are 16 or over must have a PCR test 3 days prior to boarding, a rapid PCR test at embarkation, and on sailings that are 6 nights or longer, we'll have a test mid-cruise. Masking requirements. Masks are required in the terminal for all passengers, both vaccinated and unvaccinated. Masks are not required in ports of call unless required by local governments. Vaccinated guests and children under the age of 16, masks are not required on board. Unvaccinated guests, masks are required indoors and outdoors except while eating or drinking. And for testing when you get off the cruise ship, the vaccinated again require no testing. The unvaccinated guests, ages 2 to 15, will get a complimentary PCR antigen test up to 24 hours before disembarking. Unvaccinated guests at 16 plus are required to have the PCR antigen test up to 24 hours before disembarking on 4-night sailings only. On 4-night or longer sailings only at the guest's expense. And disembark testing is complimentary for unvaccinated guests under the age of 16. All right, so those are the upcoming protocols for Celebrity. We've already even talked about the ones for Royal Caribbean. I'll link to that video up here now. So it is not a surprise that Celebrity is very similar to Royal Caribbean since, of course, they are all under the same parent company. So after looking at Royal Caribbean's protocols, after looking at Celebrity's protocols, and some of the other cruise lines that are going to want to sail from Florida, it does look like we are going to have essentially two different types of passengers on board. So you go to the cruise port. If you show your vaccination passport or you show your vaccination card, whatever you want to call it, you are going to volunteer it. If you volunteer it, you show it, you are considered a vaccinated passenger. You don't have to take a test to get on board the ship. You don't have to take a test to get off the ship. You don't have to wear a mask while on the ship. On Royal Caribbean, there were cases where you were indoors, mixed together, vaccinated and unvaccinated, where everybody had to wear the mask. But for the most part, the vaccinated do not have to wear a mask. But now you look and you see if you are not vaccinated. So you go to the cruise port and you are not vaccinated or you are unwilling to show your vaccination card, Now you have to have had a test 3 days prior to getting on the cruise ship. That's at your expense. If you have to take a test required by the cruise line to get on board the ship, that is going to be at your expense. And then you have to take a test in order to get off of the cruise ship. You will be required to wear the mask while on board the cruise ship. For Celebrity, it says you're going to wear it while you're indoors and outdoors, except for eating and drinking. On Royal Caribbean, it said you didn't have to wear it outdoors, even if you were unvaccinated. You only had to wear it indoors. And the way that they were going to tell people apart is they were going to put a wristband on the vaccinated. So they would know who is supposed to be wearing it and who is not. On Royal Caribbean, there's going to be sections of the ship that the unvaccinated cannot even get into. So when Florida passed the law preventing people from requiring vaccination status, one of the reasons they gave was they didn't want to create two classes of people, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Yet, here we are with cruise ship protocols sailing out of Florida that have done essentially that. They have created two sets of rules, one for the vaccinated and one for the non-vaccinated. The cruise lines initially all wanted to go fully vaccinated when they started. Royal Caribbean said it at first, Celebrity said it at first, Carnival has said it, Norwegian has said it. They wanted to at least start off with fully vaccinated, but with the laws preventing them, this is the route they have gone instead. And this is almost, as I've said before, the carrot on the stick. They want you to be vaccinated. They want to sail at 95% or better fully vaccinated, but they can't mandate that. So what do they do instead? They make it sort of unpleasant for the non-vaccinated or unvaccinated to want to go. It's going to cost you more money to pay for tests. You may not have access to all the ship. You're going to have to wear a mask while others don't. With some of the cruise lines, if you are not vaccinated, you cannot get off in port on your own and do your own thing. You can only take organized shore excursions from the cruise lines. Only the vaccinated, in some cases, can get off the ship and do whatever they want to do, creating an even bigger separation between the two. So essentially, here at least at the start, we are basically ending up with two different classes of passengers, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. But like I said, in my opinion only, I do think this is what the cruise line is doing as a way to get more vaccinated people on the ship, less unvaccinated people on the ship, kind of hoping that with the additional expense and restrictions that maybe they will wait and sail later once cruising has restarted and the vaccines are no longer required on board. Do you think this is what the cruise lines might be doing in order to get more vaccinated people and less unvaccinated people? Just a little bit curious myself. Now, of course, this all could change here in a couple of weeks. When the injunction goes through, if the injunction goes through on the 18th and the CSO is no longer forcible in Florida, that could change things. The CDC could come up with a different version of the CSO that is accepted here in about a week and a half. Or as we have seen here in the last couple of weeks, the cruise lines could just change everything themselves by tomorrow for all we know. This stuff is changing so quickly and so rapidly that you never know what's going to be a protocol or a rule or a change in just a week from now. But at least for today, for right now, for what's out there this very minute, I think they have basically created two classes of passengers. In my opinion, I think they should have gone either fully vaccinated ships or fully unvaccinated ships. But again, in Florida, with the laws, your hands are kind of tied, I guess. If you are the cruise line, you have to meet Florida law. You still have to follow the CDC requirements and guidelines the best that you can. But these first couple sailings in Florida, I think it will give us the best idea of what's going to happen. As passengers do get on board and share their experiences, we'll have a much better idea of how it's going to look and how it's going to feel for the people that are actually on board the ships. And no matter which way you fall, vaccinated, unvaccinated, all of us that love cruising should be super excited, because the first cruise leaving from the United States with paying passengers on board is tomorrow. And that is the first step to getting as many ships back out there as we can, for all of us to get back out there on the water and start enjoying what we love best, which is cruising. All right, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor, hit that like button. Have yourself a great day, and we will see you out on the high seas.